G'day, Hawks fans. Welcome to Talking Hawks. Welcome to the round 11 preview. I can't actually believe that after this week, we're going to be halfway through the season. Where does the time go? We were prepping for off-season stuff, and now here we are. Chris is alongside me as per usual on a Thursday. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad, especially after a win. The still high off the win, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I think we all are, and I think rightly so. I think all the Hawks fans there will agree. But to the fans, first of all, comment below. Let us know from where you are watching. We always like to know how far around this beautiful globe of ours that we can reach. Thoughts, questions throughout the night as we go. The floor is yours. We know Chris will be keeping an eye on it and all that. And of course, we save the tips and stuff. If you're here for the first time, we save the tips and the prediction stuff to the end. We go through all the questions that we need to. We'll officially put Hobart. Beautiful, Jason. Pleasure to have you on board. But let's put the win away, mate, before we start on the other Queensland team, because you weren't here for the review. What was your biggest takeaway from the Brisbane game? And welcome, Billy from Perth.
Look, it was besides the start they got, Brisbane, it was a pretty good four-quarter performance, I think. So, yeah, to give them a 22-point head start, and that was pivotal in the game. For us to bridge that margin before quarter time was massive and really kept us in the game. And from there, it was just a real good arm wrestle. And, yeah, it was really impressed at that fourth quarter that we just got that margin and it was game over, really. They fought back well, Brisbane, to their credit, but... Yeah, no, I'm just really impressed with what the players were able to do. And there was, I think the strength of a good team is your worst players, or not your worst players, your, on the stat sheet, I guess, your lowest performing players not being that bad. And I think that's what we achieved. Everybody really had an input towards the game. It was good.
Yeah, your bottom six really do need to perform, especially when you're up against, well, what is the second best team in the competition, given Brisbane have only had 2 losses this year by combined 15 points. But let's put that win behind us and look forward to, hopefully, the next one. We've got Gold Coast at TIO Stadium in Darwin, 7:50 Victorian time, or AEST time, sorry. No big bias there. 7:40, sorry, that's my fault. I'll learn how to read at some point. That'd be awesome if I can add that to my arsenal, but 7:40. We've got up there against the Suns, who have been really improved in the last 3 weeks. An old Hawk fan favourite, Stewie Jew, is doing good things. But let's start. Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with our team news, mate. So Jack Scrimshaw comes back after a shoulder complaint, and Connor McDonald after a rest that was about 3 weeks overdue, but blokes kept dropping out, and he had to stay in the team. They're both back in. Max Lynch is out with a concussion, and Jaeger is having a cautionary week off with some hamstring tightness. But I think the story there, mate, is who is not there, and that is Ned Reeves. Not there, so there's no recognised ruckman.
Yes, that's definitely the talking point of the evening, and I don't really think we have too many solutions. I think it's fairly straightforward because he is named as that starting ruckman, and probably get a chop out from either Nash or... Who else do you put in there? Depends.
They were trialling Dan Howe during the week. We saw those reports and Sam Mitchell's presser. That'd be interesting.
Yes, definitely interesting. He's got a little bit of bulk. The thing is, when you're up against a second ruckman, it's not so bad. It's when you're up against their number one ruckman where you really struggle with a player like that.
Well, Marby or Chol is a handy second ruckman as far as the second ruckman go. But if we were going to take on now... I don't know whether you'd call this a hot take or not, but I currently have Jared Witts as the All-Australian ruckman. If we were to end the year now, I think Gawn's had to take a backseat to Jackson. We know Grundy's been injured. Darcy's missed out on games. I think he's been the most consistent ruckman. Tim English has also been really good. But if there's one time where you want to come up against one of the best ruckmen in the competition, it's in a very humid Darwin with a slippery ball and wet conditions. So do you think we haven't rushed Reeves back in because we've got favourable conditions for... to hopefully nullify Jared Witts?
I think that definitely comes into consideration. But from Monday names here, we've got Frosty nominated, which come up in our little group chat too. So
the last name on that list is interesting. I'd say I think he'd...
Well, CJ I'd love to see that.
He doesn't. I don't think he's got the bulk on him, CJ. I think we'd kill him. I think that's
What's Chol going round at? Surely he's not carrying too many keys.
90, surely.
Yes,
Athletic, got a jump on him.
CJ's probably 60 plus, maybe. Yeah.
So the ruck, yeah. Well, we know that the ruck is going to be a little bit of an issue, but as far as centre clearances go, the Hawks and the Suns aren't particularly, at least not in the last 6 weeks or overall for the season, particularly strong centre clearance teams. However, Touk Miller is the man that we are going to have to look at, because when he's been let off the chain, he has dominated, although has had an inconsistent period. We saw how effective Liam Shields was against Lockie Neal. Do you go to Touk Miller straight away, or like Neal, do we wait and see what Touk's performance is like midway through the second quarter and then flip the switch? What do we think?
I like to see it. Maybe just that cold tag we talk about. Doesn't need to be a heavy tag straight up, but with Shields putting in that performance, and I guess you've got an emergency who's been tagging for us. Sorry,
Finn
McGinnis.
Finn tagged it.
And whether there's possibility of a late emergency coming in, I haven't heard any other news besides Jager's little setback. But I think it'd be nice to just put a little bit of pressure on their main midfielder, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think Matt Riel's really been struggling for form. Anyone that's had him in Supercoach or Fantasy this year can absolutely attest to that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. The third midfielder for the Suns has been pretty interesting. Put the cooler on him. Fred's in the house as per usual, and I think we're in agreement. So I think the quicker we go to Touk, the better. Con, we're all in the same boat. It is rare for fans to agree this early. We love it. That's what we like to see. But let's talk about the third midfielder option. So we obviously know about Jai and how good he has been. We know that Connor Nash is going to be in there a lot, but with no Jaeger, even though he's played half forward, we know Shields might be going to Touk as well. Tom Mitchell only attended 48% of centre bounces last week. Chris, do you think that's the new normal, or do you think he goes into the middle a bit more this week because the ball is going to be slippery and he does have such sure hands around the contest?
I think Mitchell's just still experimenting with what the best ratios are, and I don't think he's going to get back to that 100% time in the midfield. I think it is going to be shared around a bit more, and I thought it was a positive that he did spend a lot more time out of the midfield and helped in that forward line.
Yeah, I think so. And 36 disposals last week, 25 of those handballs, but I think Champion Data said that 14 of them were forward handballs, and of those 14, 13 of them were effective. So that's what we want Titch to do. Don't try to take on too much, but we've seen the likes of Darcy Parish, who like to handball backwards first and rack up the disposals, not be as effective. So if Titch can keep doing that, I like it, although Connor McDonald coming into the team might affect the half-forward line, or we could see C-Mac getting a couple of more centre bounces. I think he had 9 in the last fortnight before he went out of the team. So I agree. I think we're building that mix quite nicely. Hawks fans, comment below. Let us know what you think of the midfield mix. Who would you start at the centre bounce? Do you start Shields, Newcomb and Nash? I would like to see McDonald have a run in the midfield. Nick, I completely agree with you.
100%.
I think because of the frame that's on Connor, he would be suited to an outside midfielder role, which might not be what Darwin presents itself. But I agree. I think, well, coming out of the draft, and you can take this with a grain of salt if you like, but if you look at the ranking points or Supercoach points for those that are out there, Nick Dacos was number 1 last year in the NAB League. Josh Ward was 2 and Connor McDonald 3. All 3 of them played midfield. So what I'm saying there is he knows how to find the footy, and he can be a dangerous midfielder, and that's obviously what he becomes. Whether he gets it there in Darwin, we don't know.
Just going to put that one up there, Daz. So wrapped with the Hawks this season, and we agree. But these games must win. And I don't know about that. I guess it's a home game for the opposition in testing, trying conditions. We've got several injuries. So my expectations are isn't that this is a must-win. I would like it to be a must-win, but I just don't think we're in a position that it should be a must-win. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem, and it's a good problem to have because we've seen teams that have got a lack of talent or illnesses and whatever's going on. It is the mental resilience of the group, and I mean of the young group. So where we pointed it out after the who did we lose to a couple of weeks ago that I can't remember? Essendon, sorry. That we're Norton 11 in the last 3 years of teams that are in the bottom four. Now Gold Coast aren't a bottom four team, but you do have to wonder how big the bounce back factor is going to be after beating second on the ladder. That's actually a bigger concern for me than Gold Coast really ripping us apart, which in a weird kind of way is probably more of a positive. The more that it's in the more that the ball is in our court, I think the better we're going to be and we can keep building. But I'm actually more worried about us than I am about the Suns.
The expectation is there, and it is to a degree. Like, I had an expectation that would be competitive against Brisbane and potentially knock them off, which we did. And that's really overachieving as far as I'm concerned. But, you gain that expectation, and you just can't do it week in, week out unless you're a Melbourne and at the top of the ladder. So...
yeah, I agree. And don't take away from the fact that the expectation is going to be on the Suns as well. They had the great fortnight. They beat Sydney. They beat Freo, both in the top 6 at the moment. So the expectation is going to be on them. They were pretty good against the Bulldogs. Sam Collins was so good. He made he made Luke Beveridge see ghosts when it came to Aaron Norton. So that's how good he's been. So Mitch Lewis has got a big task ahead of him. But I think one of these teams, whoever wins this game, I think they're going to be sort of the last rung of teams that I think people are going to say can make the 8. And I think whoever loses this game are probably content with the fact that they'll just try and build the wins and build the squad together. So I think that if we do win this game, I think expectations are going to jump through the roof almost. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I think there's probably maybe 2 or 3 teams outside the 8 that are a chance. So after this round, that might even shorten up to 1 or 2 teams. And, look, you said it, if we win this, then we're realistically in a decent position to make finals. And if we can rack up a few wins in a row, then there's no reason why we can't play finals. It'll be an absolutely amazing feat in Sam Mitchell's first season as coach and get some really good experience into the young kids.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And if we do lose this game, I think that bubble can probably officially burst, although we do have a pretty good fixture coming home, but what can we expect? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think we're in a magnificent position. I think anyone looking at the team can know that we're headed in the right direction, whether we play finals or not, whether it's this year and once we hit round 1 next year, we'll go from there. All right, let's talk about the Suns a little bit, and let's start with probably the least likely goal-kicking duo in the league. So if you had told me before round 1 that Gold Coast would have the 5th best centre-half forward, full-forward goal-kicking combination, I would have thought to myself, wow, Sam Day is having a career best year and Ben King is dominating. Neither of them are there. It's Mabior Chol and Levi Casbolt are currently the 5th highest goal-kicking duo in the league. Mate, no disrespect to those 2 players, but Chris, that's unfathomable to me. What do you think about their form and how do we stop them?
Oh, it is a little bit of a shock, and kudos to those guys and the team as a whole, because they're obviously lifted their output and performing quite well. Like, to knock off Sydney, that's a great game for them, and Freo as well. Like, I've rated Freo quite highly, and then Gold Coast has just given them a lesson. So, like you said, there's probably a lot to do with Stewie Jew, and yeah, if they're just starting to click and get the best out of their players, then we're up for a decent battle, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I think because Mabior is so clean on the ground as well, I think he's only kicked 9 of his goals this year from set shots, which is an incredible stat considering I think he's in the 20s at the moment. So I think Sam Frost is the obvious go. I think Frosty's better below his knees than Denver. And I think, Denver gets another one-on-one lesson in taking on Levi Casbolt. He struggled at times against Jack Rewalt, but let's be honest, the gap between Levi and Jack is enough that I think Denver can do the job. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And Hawks fans, let us know who you think should take down their 2 big pillars.
Yeah, Frosty in the forward line was a bit of a surprise last week and a match-winning performance. I don't know if we'll see him there again or not. It'd be interesting to see if what the game plans may or may not be. Whether there's a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. But Denver, going to Denver, he started on the bench the last couple of weeks, which has sort of surprised me. But at the end of the day, they all have a rest on the bench, so that's nor here nor there. But I think Denver's pretty important to that back structure. And again, he's just doing his job. He's stopping his opposition player, and yeah, sure, he's not getting 20 possessions, but he doesn't need to. That's Sicily's job.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think Denver's doing quite well. We get mixed reviews from our supporters, but as far as I'm concerned, he's doing what he's meant to do on the ground. Some weeks he'll get 5 or 6, and some weeks he'll get 10 or 12. So yeah.
Yeah, the only stats that kind of matter to me is the marks that he's conceding and the scores that are coming from his contests. We've seen a big shift. You can only look at the Coleman medal table and look at all the big forwards that are there. And sure, they're not 1990s numbers. We understand that. But they are higher than they have been in the last 3 or 4 years at this point of the season. So I think we need to wrap our heads around the fact that every team needs someone that can shut down their full forward. Jacob Wiedering's been able to do it. Sicily to Casbolt, that's an interesting call. I think DJB might get exposed a little bit to Chol, Tony, but it would be an interesting matchup for him. But I think what we've got to look at is Denver's got to be that guy. I think that's got to shut down opposition players for now. And when, Sicily's just signed a 5-year deal, so 5 years from now, Denver's going to be 25 and hitting his prime. He can become the intercept defender then for me.
Is that more likely there? You like that one?
Frost v Casbolt, DJB versus Chol, Sicily third man up. Yeah, Sicily's going to be the third man up. I think he'll take on what's his name? I think it's Alex Sexton. Is he back in the team, or a Darcy McPherson or someone like that? Sort of one of their smalls that aren't that damaging in the air, and I think he can go from there. But the other matchup in the forward line that's going to be interesting, Blake Hardwick v Isaac Rankin. Now, I don't know where you stand on Isaac, but I am slowly becoming into the camp of, can this guy show us why he's an A-grader before we crown him one?
Yeah.
Media, AFL media, please stop overrating this kid because he's doing nothing wrong, I don't think. But I think the AFL media have jumped on his bandwagon.
He's pretty hot and cold. And, look, if he's on fire, then, he's something to be reckoned with. And, Hardwick's got his work cut out.
He does.
Because he's very quick, and Hardwick does well to play on quick players, even though he's not super quick himself. But we've got a good mix in the back line that can cover it, and we'll just have to swap it up if he gets on top.
Yeah, absolutely. And with guys, we've talked about it, but with Jarman, Jack Scrimshaw, CJ, and all these guys, Dominic, that's no question. One's finished runner-up in the best and fairest twice, and the other one, I think, had 20 disposals in a game twice. So that's a pretty big discrepancy there. Let's go to Hawthorn training this week, mate, as we saw a report come out that we were training with footies that had been dipped into dishwashing liquid to deal with the humidity.
Wow,
now,
that's news for me.
The first thing I thought when I heard that is Jai will be loving that, to be able to be as clean as he can and to drive through contests with his legs, which we've spoken about very, very quietly. He won't be the person that we put in the preview for the spotlight. I won't make it that obvious, but he could go another 3 votes on this weekend because he'll absolutely get them after last week. This is a game. These are conditions that I think suit him perfectly.
Yeah, well, playing his junior footy in Poowong, mate, I tell you what, the conditions on that ground, we would have been playing in slippery mud every week. So
they wouldn't have need dishwashing liquid down there, let me tell you.
I think he will be very handy. And like someone mentioned before, C-Mac, I think he's going to be pretty well. He's got pretty clean hands. We just need those players. Scrimshaw's pretty clean with the ball. CJ's pretty good. So we just need these players to just make the most of their opportunities. We're a good chance of winning, I guess. If they
and Yeah, absolutely. And watch for meters gained. So disposal efficiency, I don't think is going to mean a lot in this game. You just got to drive forward and get the territory. We saw, I know it was Cairns, different part of the world, but we saw the St Kilda Port game, how boring and lackluster the scoring was. You could argue the game as well. I didn't catch a hell of a lot of the game live, so people can probably comment better than me. But I think we've got to look at it as drive the ball forward. Lewis, Cozzy, whoever the second forward may be, get the ball to ground, and guys like Luke Bruce and Dylan Moore are probably going to be the ones that kick a winning score. And I think whatever score we can get from Lewis and Chad. Sorry, apologies, Con. Completely forgot about Chad. More time in the middle, absolutely could.
I think
clean
so.
hands around the contest. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Chad's ability to, just rove those ruck contests and clear the ball, I think that's definitely a good move if we do that.
Yep. Chad, Dylan, and Punky are probably going to be the three that are going to need to help us kick a bigger score. And anything that we can get from Lewis is a bonus, because taking a contested mark with a slippery ball is all the more difficult these days, especially since players don't really play in those kind of conditions.
So what's the go with the midfield setup and the ruck? How much time is Cozzy going to spend in the ruck position, do you think?
My instinctual answer says 75, probably 3/4 of the game there. Okay. Yeah.
I'm thinking more like 60%, but yeah, fair call.
Well, the 40 that we make up, I think is going to be, well, actually, no, I'm probably wrong there. I think 60 is fair, because I think there's going to be a lot more boundary throw-ins than there are centre bounces, which probably suits Nash better. Yeah. So I'll scratch that. I think his 60's right. I think Nash around the ground is going to be better, because slippery ball, Witts isn't going to be able to have a massive diameter of where he's going to be able to hit the ball. And Nash already is an established 196 centimetre midfielder at the moment. Adds more on the deck than Witts does. So, yeah, I'll probably retract and say Cozzy's at most centre bounces and Nash is around the contest.
If forward line ball ups, Mitch Lewis potentially to make a few ruck throw-ins, back line, have we got a nominated backman that might substitute in for the ruck?
I'd be happy for Cozzy to do that.
Push him back or
down back.
If Marbio Charles there, does Frosty just go up against him?
Potentially, yeah. If the matchup works, 100%, I think that could happen. I think we're not going to be exposed that much because of the conditions. Again, we've talked about why we think that's going to happen, but I don't think we're going to have a massive imbalance in the ruck. But I think what it is up to Jai, and it's up to Tom, and it's up to Chad if he goes in there to stop Took getting the ball first and getting it out, because Matt Rowell, although he's out of form, can burst through the stoppage. And David Swallow, nearly played 200 games, a veteran of the club, who will be good with wet weather footy. 33 and sunny in Darwin Saturday. I've got it to be a bit slippery with the humidity, but I doubt it'll be wet weather footy. Simon, I agree with you, but late at night the dew's going to set in. So yes, whilst I don't think it's going to be overhead is going to be the problem, but once the ball hits the ground, we might be in a touch of trouble, which is going to affect the ruck more than anything else. Who are you looking forward to seeing, mate, on the weekend from the Hawks? Who do you reckon might go nuts?
Oh, look, like I said, in those conditions, you think it's more suited to the small forwards. Seen some improvement from Butler last week, so I'd be happy to see Butler just sneak another maybe 2 goals. If I'm not being too greedy, if he kicks any more than that, it's a bonus. Brewsty's been thereabouts. He had a good start to the year, I thought. So guys like that, if Brewsty, Wingard, spend a bit of time down forward, can hit the scoreboard, that's the formula I think we need to win. Take nothing away from the big guys, Mitch Lewis and Cosby, been doing well to hit the scoreboard, but I think that's got to be our focus to get the small forwards hitting the scoreboard.
Yeah, we can't take anything away from Mitch Lewis. He's equal second in the comp for goals per game. So absolutely nothing taken away there. I think Chad and Dylan Moore, for the same reasons, I think it's up to the small forwards, and I'll just back their experience, and Dylan Moore so clean around the footy. Hawks fans, we want your comments. Comment below. Who do you think might go absolutely bonkers in this game, whether it is Jai around the midfield or a Connor Nash or a Tom Mitchell, whether you think it's one of the forwards or one of those rebounding defenders going to get plenty of the ball. James Sicily, you will not argue, should be in the All-Australian team if there was one right now. You would agree with that, Chris?
Yeah.
Being biased.
Pencil it in.
Yeah, slot him in as the third tall back in the back pocket there. So Hawks fans, we want to know where you sit as well. The last thing about the Suns is Sam Collins, best and fairest winner. I think a vastly underrated key defender. Now, he is going to take Mitch Lewis for the entire game, but his ability to intercept and his ability to block for the likes of Charlie Ballard and these guys. Jack Bowes, I think, is back in the team, which will be good for them. Like to see Chad bag a few. I think Chad's a game or two away from kicking 5 because he's the quantity.
A bag this day is only 3 or 4, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for a small it would be, but for the talls, they've been Charlie Curnow and Max Kings kicked 6 last week. So
actually, this is a pretty important here, I think.
Yeah.
Probably hasn't been talked about enough. And, Mitchell, if he can get some clean hands out to some running kickers, I think he'll be super important to having a win.
Titch to Jai for a bucket of clearances. Well, Titch last week, like we said, we only attended 48% of a rip of 5 goals. California Eagle, we're on the same page.
That counts as a bag?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a bag, mate. Yeah. That's getting sponges out of your pockets because you've given your opponent a bath. That's what that's doing. But I think Titch to Jai is going to be something that happens. I mean, Titch had 9 clearances and none of them came from the centre.
Yeah. You touched on that in your review. I wasn't aware of that until I read your review. So, nice pick up there.
Oh, that's just why the review's there, mate, for the people to get involved.
Yeah. Saves us doing the hard work. You can do it for us.
Yeah, that's it. I've worked in a lot of kitchens in my life, mate. They thought the same thing.
Jai's just gets the ball forward. Doesn't matter where he is. And like you talked about, people handballing the ball back as a first instinct. He's just purely looking forward. I rarely see him move the ball back. And like you said, he'll take a tackle or two just to free up somebody else and move the ball forward. And I'm absolutely loving that aspect of his game.
Yeah, I think the ability to have meters gained as a midfielder right now is as best as ever. Clayton Oliver's probably leading the Brownlow. He's continually moving forward. Paddy Cripps has had an amazing season, continually moves the ball forward. We saw Callum Mills kill us at Tassie. Even when he tagged Mitchell in that second half, continuously moves the ball forward. And that's the key, I think, of the top 3 players that have negative meters gained out of a stoppage. Darcy Parish, Essendon aren't going that great. I think second is Zach Merritt. So again, Essendon not going that great. And Clayton Oliver's only third because he's getting more clearances than other players in the competition. So you could probably be forgiven for that. So, yeah, getting the ball out of the stoppage and moving the ball forward with the 6-6-6 is absolutely key.
Here's a question to test you, Daz. If you know the answer off the top of your head, has Chad ever kicked more than 3 for us?
Good question.
It is a good question.
I reckon he has. I reckon he's kicked 4 in a game.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what game it was. Did he kick 4 in his first game for us against North? At the G? Did he? I really want to Google this. I really want to
Google this. You're going to Google it? All right.
I can,
We'll keep this rolling.
Absolutely.
Lewis to kick 8, I think that's a bit...
oh, boy.
In those conditions, but we'll see what happens.
We're not going to say no to that.
Your boy, Dylan.
Oh, no.
Good. I hope he doesn't get that name, but it was a hard to kick that one.
Yeah,
but,
of the bad free kicks that were paid, I don't think that was going to make the top 5.
Morey, if Morey hits the scoreboard, if all of our small forwards kick 1 each, chip in a midfielder or 2, then the big boys kick a couple. That's almost game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. So I've got the answer. Chad has not kicked more than 3 in a game for us. There you go. He's kicked 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
5 times he's kicked 3 goals, yeah.
There you go. So come on, Chadwick, we need 4. Yeah, kicked 3-1 in that game against North. So there you go. More 3, Bruce 3. Yeah, I like it.
Happy with that.
Oh, you rocking with the puns now, mate. Yeah.
What's
old stand-up comedy Chris over here. Love it.
So Box Hill have got Gold Coast at Metricon Stadium. So they're up in Queensland on Saturday day at 3:05. I don't know why you don't start the game at 3 o'clock. It's 3:05.
I think because of the streaming, man. I think they set up the streaming at 3 o'clock and then they go through their paces. If it's not that reason, then yes, I agree with you. It's a bit silly.
So that puts us in the predicament of bringing our emergencies to our game and not giving them a chance to play at Box Hill if they don't get a run this week. So I think, do we have 4 emergencies named?
4.
4. So how many travel?
I think
travel.
I think 3 will, the sub and 2 more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we just send all 4 because I think Kyle Hartigan's not going to be the sub in those conditions. I think that's fair to say. So do we just let Kyle go and let him play at Box Hill? That's definitely an option. Finn's probably the sub, and we go from there. I don't think many of those guys are going to miss out on a VFL game. Miss out in terms of their development for missing the one VFL game. So I think the guys that are down there at the Gold Coast from where I am at the moment are going to perform and going to do very well. Box Hill, they kind of need to get on a roll, mate, but they are 1-0 after the bye, which sets us off well because this is their second bye for the season.
Yep.
Which is all we can ask for. And the VFLW, I've got it up here, up against the Seagulls this week. Now, let's face it, it's us, Essendon and Darwin in terms of who's going to win the flag. I believe this is the last round of the home and away season. We're going to play Essendon in the first week. Sorry, Casey are the next best team in that competition, not Darwin. I don't know why. I think we played Darwin the week before, but it's us, Casey, and the Bombers there. Geelong are 4th, but, they're a fair way back on the ladder, couple of games out. So it's going to be a good run in towards the finals, mate. And hopefully we can get someone from Box Hill who's got an affiliation with the VFLW program to run us through the finals with plenty of good additions coming through, including former Adelaide AFLW player Sarah Perkins, who has had some time at the Hawks. We picked up the Saints midfielder, whose, again, name I don't have on my list, but her nickname's the Hyphen, and we like a hyphen at the Hawks with Denver. So, mate, the girls are flying, and the AFLW's on notice. The Aaron Phillips has left Adelaide. There is so much conjecture as to who the best team in the competition is going to be. I think if the Hawks go in with Beck Goddard and all the beautiful people down there thinking, why not us? Why can't they be the best team in the competition? And they'll be ready to go. The VFLW program's really strong. No evidence to say that the AFLW program won't be as strong, if not stronger.
I think so too. Yeah, I totally agree. The season the VFL team's put together with girls coming in and out of the team and just performing week in, week out, and then I guess recruiting half of those girls for the AFL team and then just poaching a few others. I think they're going to have a good season next year. I'll be looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and we hopefully can make it to some games. The girls have finally got their season date started, which is all fantastic. The last weekend of August. All right, let's get to some tips, some predictions from the Hawks fans. How confident are you? How optimistic are you for a Hawthorn win? Chuck it in the comments below. We want your margin and your best on ground. So, for example, Hawthorn, 9 points, Chad Wingard. That's how we want your comments. Get them flooding through because we like to see what the fans say before we give our predictions to see if we've got the backbone to go with what we say or not. That's fair to say, Chris. I think me and Matt have been guilty of that. I'm not sure if you've been guilty of that so far, but Big Matty and I have liked to wait and see how crucified we'll get.
Yes, no, we'll just wait. But while the fans are chucking the comments in, Jeff Kennett sent out an email to the members today. We've just potentially sold our last pokey venue, which is good for that aspect of getting out of the gaming industry and gambling in itself. As much as I guess it's been a good thing that we, as a club, have made some money off of our investments. It is good that we're backing that initiative and trying to make money elsewhere. So
it's just moving on to the next monetary experience that the Hawks can get. So I don't see a downside to it with the Dingley move on the way. With so many other good things going on at the club, we know the AFLW coming in as well. So, it's the right decision. It's a good decision. And we move onwards and upwards. Are we getting the tips coming in, mate?
Yeah, here we go. We're getting started with JM Gook.
Yeah, Hawks by 10.
Nuke best on ground. Well, Nuke's almost been best on ground for half of the games this season. Hawks by 14. Can't go past Nuke.
Nuke,
we agree with that.
Hawks by 21. Nuke BOG. No pressure, Jai, by the way. You're
none at all.
100% of the votes here. Jeez, that'd be a high-scoring game for Darwin. Oh boy, Tom Mitchell, 47 posies.
Wow.
Oh,
Well, those conditions could suit, but
yeah,
Mitchell
they definitely could.
Lewis taking 8. I'm not so sure.
Geez, it would take a mighty effort. Hawks by 16, Newcomb 30 touches, 2 goals. That I can absolutely see how.
That'd be
I know. I know we said we'd put the Brisbane game behind us, but did you see his goal? One step from 48, and he didn't kick it straight. He had to loop it around or hook it around his body as well. The power in this young man's extraordinary. Hawks by 3, Nuke best on. I don't think I can deal with a 3-pointer game. I'm really sick of these close ones. Hawks by 23. I reckon Butler will explode. Awesome. Jesse, David King, who's not necessarily a massive a person that's going to indict a lot of good comments from the Hawks. Thinks Sam Butler's in the road for a Rising Star nomination in the next 6 weeks. It's good to see some of the media talking nice about us.
Hawks by 23. Mitchell, best on ground. At least we've got a difference there. It's good.
How good is it that Tom Mitchell is now our point of difference when it comes to the best on ground? Hello, depth. I like it. Hawks by 20. You beauty. Hawks 25. Mitch, best on. California Eagles been fantastic tonight. Might be robbing the 3 votes off one of us.
Yes.
Hawks by 18. Peter, I like it. Hawks will win by 12.
Will win. Will. I love
Will.
that.
And not could. Will. I don't even have to watch it now. I can get straight onto the review. More 19 and 3.
Up one. Not even 19 and 2 or 20 and 2, whatever he got in the weekend. He's 19 and 3 now.
Yeah. We coined him 19 and 1 last year. He's kicked 19 and 2 last week. Hawthorn
now that is
7, Bruce 7.
3. But I would love to see it happen.
I absolutely. I'd love Punky to kick 4. Let alone 7. Oh boy. They don't have the best lockdown defenders.
Did you
watching
miss the
replay,
or are you just excited to watch the replay?
Both are the correct answer. It's fine. It's a great spectacle if you probably mute it.
Here we go. Fred's the killer. He's the dampener. But to be honest, I honestly think Gold Coast will win. I was pretty optimistic about us beating Brisbane last week, but I'm sort of flipping the coin this week round, and I think Gold Coast might get us in those conditions with us minus a recognised ruckman, but that's just my opinion.
There we go. Who's best on, mate? You going the Nuke? You going with the People's Champion?
It is very hard to go past him. Sicily. I'll throw up Sicily. If the ball's going to be down in their forward line, he might pop up for 15 marks and 27 possessions.
Bang, there we go. I like it. I'm going the Hawks, 8 points. I think the goal kicking accuracy. So the Hawks are currently CJ to kick 2. Peter, that would be the first time in his career he's done that, which would be extraordinary. So the Hawks, although we are, I think, 15th in the league for inside 50s, converting to a score, we're 3rd in the league, and converting to a goal, we're equal 2nd. So if we can get the ball in there, we're doing extraordinary things. I think the accurate goal kicking, even in those conditions, will help us get over the line. Mitch Lewis is a beautiful kick. Dylan Moore, Luke Bruce, Chad Wingard are all really good kicks at goal. I think we get over the line by 8 points, and I'm going to throw the Chad up as the best on ground. Reckon he has 20 and kicks 3 or 4 or gets us over the line. I reckon we're just about done, mate, and we'll be ready to head off. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely, mate. And let's hope we can perform as you expect. And
absolutely. So big Saturday coming. VFLW, fingers crossed they'll dominate against the Gulls. The VFL, they're up against the Suns at Metricon at 3:05. You can stream that through the AFL app. I don't think you have to be a Telstra customer to stream, so get on board. No, there you go. Get on board the VFL. And then, of course, 7:40 AEST, the Hawks and the Suns in Darwin. Fingers crossed we can get some sort of Cyril reunion. We know that'll get talked about a lot during the week. And I think all the fans know that we want Cyril around the club as much as we can. So fingers crossed that can happen. Fingers crossed the Hawks win, and fingers crossed you all have a fantastic weekend. Jump on talkinghawks.com to check out all of the latest articles and videos. My statistical preview will be up probably Saturday morning because this week has been absolutely manic. So I apologize, Hawks fans. I know you love it the night before, but I'll do my best. I promise and all there. If you want to help sponsor CJ, Denver, and Jai, jump on talkinghawks.com and we'll put the link in here to help us there. Starts at 50. You can go all the way up to $500, whatever you can to sponsor those 3 future premiership stars of the Hawthorn Footy Club. Highly recommend you getting on board. And if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. We're trying to hit 1,000 by grand final day. We just hit 800. So thank you very much to all of those that have subscribed lately. It's been absolutely fantastic. Enjoy your weekend. Chris, I hope you enjoyed as well. We'll see you for the review on Monday night. Go the Hawks.
Cheers, guys. Catch you then.